Welcome to the Trudy Lite Show with your host, international celebrity life coach to the stars, Trudy Lite.
Hi boys and girls. Like all top international celebrity life coaches to the stars, I'm often being asked for advice about Scotland. If you don't know what Scotland is, well, depending on who you talk to, it's either a distinctive, go-ahead, vibrant nation of progressive multiculturalism, or it's a freezing cold wasteland to the north of England. Take this email from Patricia of the North Riding branch of the Vegan Society in Yorkshire, England.
Dear Trudy, your advice about dating is all well and good, but will it work in Scotland? I'm going on holiday to the Shetland Islands soon and hope to meet a nice wee laddie in a kilt. Though obviously not too wee, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink.
So, Patricia, you're off to Shetland, home of those gorgeous Shetland ponies with their manes like velvet, their glistening eyes and their huge... Oh, where was I? Oh, yes. I've never been to Scotland myself. Scotland Yard, yes, but that mix-up with the bishop, the hosepipe and the nappy probably doesn't count. Scotland's famous for so many things, isn't it? Haggis, malt whisky, the Loch Ness Monster. Then there's all those Scottish celebrities. There's Rabbi Burns, their Jewish poet, Robert the Bruce, whatever a Bruce is. And then, of course, there's Sean Connery, the Scotsman that loves Scotland so much he could never quite bring himself to live there. Now, you say you're with the North Riding branch of the Vegan Society, but even assuming that north is the only direction you're riding in, Scotland is still an awfully long way to ride. And the Shetland Islands are an awfully long way from pretty much anywhere, including other places in Scotland, like Edinburgh, for example. That's in Scotland, isn't it? Edinburgh's got a castle and, well, it's got a castle. Now, this email you sent me, I have just the vaguest impression that you're hoping to meet a Scotsman in a kilt with a very large penis. Is that right? If so, it's a long shot, but try this tip from the locals. Have a go at the human equivalent of salmon fishing. Instead of salmon, you're hoping to hook a Scotsman. Just as slippery, but much more easily caught. All you need is the right sort of bait. So, pack your suitcase with shortbread, neeps and tatties, and a few cans of iron brew. Then, when you get there, deep fry the lot. And if you can find a way to deep fry yourself as well, you'll be utterly irresistible. The only slight concern is the next rerun of the referendum on independence for Scotland, or, to put it another way, Scottish independence, which is bound to happen at some point. As you're English, your Scotsman may take it literally and decide that he wants independence from you. If that happens, tell him that Scotland leaving the United Kingdom is unthinkable. When he asks you why, tell him 3 things come to mind straight away. First, all those poor English people having to use inferior brands of transparent sticky tape. Secondly, having to buy their insurance from a different country's widows. And thirdly, their children having to invent alternative hopping games for the playground. OK, I'm going to have my say on the subject of independence for Scotland, or, to put it another way, Scottish independence. What is the right decision, Trudy, I hear you ask? Well, it's this, that we should rely on the good sense of the Scottish people to decide for themselves. You know, the people who actually have a vote on the subject. Just let them get on with it. That's the right decision. Now, you might say, well, they've already had at least one referendum and they already have got on with it. The Scottish people have spoken, and just for a change we could actually understand what the hell it was they were saying. They said no. and not yes to independence for Scotland, or, to put it another way, Scottish independence. They said no and not yes. And, well, I suppose it was always likely to be one thing or the other. All I can say is phew. And thank you, Scotland. You do know what you did, don't you? You saved those of us south of the border. Well, I say border, but thanks to you there still isn't one. You saved us from interminable Tory rule. That's what you've done. And I, for one, will be eternally grateful. Thanks to you, we have the prospect of not being in permanent thrall to a government who loves the NHS so much they don't want to corrupt it with money. And you in Scotland can spend what you like on the NHS. Keep free prescriptions and university education. Raise your own taxes. Use 5 a day to mean anything in batter. And pay your old folks a decent pension. Bloody hell, I'm moving to Scotland. Even if it does require that I walk 500 miles, and I would walk 500 more just to be the international celebrity life coach to the stars, who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. Oh, I just realised I haven't mentioned the clans. How can we be talking about Scotland and not mention the clans? The sensitive bulbous structure at the distal end of the human penis. Oh no, that's the glands, isn't it? Which brings me back to helping Patricia find that tartan-clad hunk in a kilt with a big cock, and to hang on to him, for a few weeks at least. That'd be longer than most of the matches I've made. Cheryl Cole, Lembit Opic, Julian Assange, Katy Perry, Jennifer Aniston. You all know in your hearts that I'm not even remotely to blame. I'm going to give you 2 more pieces of advice. The first is, if you're thinking of having your windows replaced, make sure to get a quote from Ben Nevis Windows, www.benneviswindows.co.uk. Superb workmanship, 0% credit, a no-quibble 5-year guarantee, and they'll beat or match any other quote. Not only that, but if you sign on the dotted line before you've even had a minute to think about it, their salesperson will ring their manager and get you another 5% off. Now, I know technically this might not seem to have an awful lot to do with helping you attract a Scotsman, but, well, the thing is that Ben Nevis Windows are paying me an awfully large amount of money to say it. The second piece of advice is learn Hindi, just in case things don't work out.
Why Hindi?
Well, if you like men who don't wear trousers, India's full of them. And talking of Max Mosley, see you next time. And remember, keep it light.
If you've been affected by any of the issues in this programme, we are genuinely sorry. Perhaps you could cheer yourself up by buying some new windows from Ben Nevis Windows, www.benneviswindows.co.uk.